Right guys, welcome to another video. If you've been watching this channel lately, you'll know that my focus is currently the original Xbox. I love that system, some great games on it, a lot of exclusives as well, and there's a lot you can do with the system. I'm having a great time with it, and in this video I wanted to talk about a part of its history that you may or may not have already come across, and that is the proposition that you can see in the title there, that the original Xbox can kind of be regarded as the Dreamcast 1.5. I'm going to talk about the various aspects of this in the vid. So first of all, just from a technical point of view, the hardware. So you can see on the front of the Dreamcast you have the 4 controller ports, just like the original Xbox, a focus on local multiplayer, but also the two systems had a big focus on online functionality as well. The Dreamcast of course came out 2 years before the other consoles in that generation, but it was forward thinking at the time. It had a very good online functionality. You could even upgrade the modem. You could take it out and upgrade the modem there. So yeah, good online functionality, and obviously the Xbox picked up on that and ran with it with Xbox Live and did really well there as well. But yeah, you had the 4-player functionality right out of the box there. Also, you can see that Microsoft was kind of involved with the Dreamcast from very early on. As you can see there, it says compatible with Windows CE. So there's actually a pared down version of Windows that runs on the Dreamcast as part of its online functionality. But more than that, the Dreamcast, as well as its own native Katana operating system, it can also run games in DirectX. That is of course the programming language that the original Xbox games were developed with, and Sega tried to do this and it was technically possible. That the original Xbox could have been backwards compatible with the Dreamcast. Sega actually tried to get Microsoft to do this. Microsoft couldn't commit to it. I believe it's because they couldn't commit to providing online support for the Dreamcast games. That's what I've read. But yeah, so it was technically possible, it would have been, for the original Xbox to run Dreamcast discs. But we're going to talk about some of the machinations between the two companies and what went on, and it's possible that they already had in mind other priorities that would have made that decision not a good move for Microsoft. But yeah, so both very open platforms as well. It's very easy to soft mod an original Xbox and to run emulators and burnt discs and that kind of thing, and just like that with the Dreamcast as well, it's very easy to play burned discs and emulators, but it's advised you don't do because it can harm the laser, it works too hard to read them and that kind of thing. But both platforms are very open, very moddable, and very I think that's contributed to both systems retaining a popularity even today. But those are some similarities between the hardwares. The controller as well is very similar. This is the Dreamcast one. I don't actually have an original, the large Xbox controllers. They were nicknamed the Duke, but they had quite a similar shape to them. Xbox also kind of went with the same buttons. They changed the colours slightly, they moved them around, but you can see the A, B, X and Y and the same colours there. Also you've got 2 expansion ports in the controller. Obviously the Dreamcast there with the VMU, and another one for memory or a vibrator pack or whatever. But yeah, both controllers have 2 expansion ports there, so there's some more similarities between the controllers there. In a business sense as well, they were very closely linked. As I said, you've already got Windows in the Dreamcast, so Microsoft were involved on that level. And also later, towards the end of the Dreamcast's lifespan, some kind of dodgy dealings went on there. And now Peter Moore, who is not a very popular person amongst Sega fan circles, Peter Moore was the head of Sega America. And it was ultimately he who decided to discontinue the Dreamcast after he'd been given some stern words from Sega of Japan, who basically trump Sega of America in terms of hierarchy. But they said, you're not doing well enough, and then Peter Moore ostensibly took the decision to discontinue the Dreamcast. Now this is where it gets a little bit shady, because what happened then was Sega ended up making a deal with Microsoft to give a load of IPs as exclusive rights for the original Xbox. So you've got a whole bunch of games that were intended for the Dreamcast that ended up being released on the original Xbox, and it's an absolute stellar bunch of games. I'm going to go through them in a minute. But yeah, So the Dreamcast probably ended a little bit prematurely. It may have been able to pick up a little bit, you know, if they'd given it a bit longer, but it didn't last very long. It sold around 10 million units in around 2 years, and the Dreamcast lifespan was very, very short. The original Xbox sold about just over 20 million units, and it had a lifespan of roughly twice the length of Dreamcast, so it didn't do massively better. You know, it sold twice as many, but in twice as long a period of time, really, when those consoles were, you know, current. Yeah, so this decision was not great for Sega either, because, you know, with Microsoft, with the Xbox not being a huge seller, especially considering its rival at the time, of course, the PS2, the most popular, most successful console in history, 155 million consoles sold. If Sega had had access to that market with these games, that company would probably be in a much stronger position right now. And so yeah, well, let's go through some of those games. So we've got Project Gotham Racing 2. Obviously this the Project Gotham series was a successor to Metropolis Street Racer, which is on the Dreamcast. Great looking racer, very, very fun, very arcadey. Yeah, very popular. This did really well for Microsoft, and this one is really well. These Project Gotham games are really cool. I like them because you drive around real cities. I don't know exactly how accurate they are to the real road plans of those cities, but it's nice to go around, you know, recreations of real cities. So I like that aspect of it anyway. But that did really well. Project Gotham Racing 2, great racer. Next one's Toe Jam and Earl 3. Yeah, this is an update, of course, to the 16-bit games on Mega Drive. Very popular couple of games there. This is similar to the original in that it's a large expanse that you can freely, you know, explore, and yeah, it retains that same feel of discovery and exploration, and interaction with characters is fun. It's great. The addition of this character here, not necessary. She's annoying, didn't need that one. But again, yeah, like I said, all these games would have been destined for Dreamcast, you know, had that console been given a little longer. So yeah, but instead he went over to the original Xbox, and was a big coup for the system, but not a good move financially for Sega. Yeah, they certainly missed out on a massive market there with these games. Imagine if these games were on the PS2, that company would be doing a lot better than it has been doing. So yeah, Sega GT 2002, and also Sega GT Online, again destined for the Dreamcast, ended up on Xbox as an exclusive. Really good racer. We've got Outrun 2, another fantastic racer. It's funny, I'm not a massive racing fan, but Sega racing games I do enjoy. With this one, it's all about the drift. Of course, those overextended, over-exaggerated drifts. It's very, very, very floaty feeling, but in a good way. Anyway, cracking game, Outrun. Then we have Otoji, and of course the sequel, Otoji 2. Very beautiful hack and slash games. Yeah, gorgeous graphics. Certainly used the capabilities of the Xbox, and it had amazing destructible environments that kind of singled it out from other hack and slash games. It looked pretty. It looked impressive with the destructible environments and everything, and a really good theme to it as well. A really mature theme, you know, to the game itself. So they were good. We've got House of the Dead 3, amazing light gun game. Obviously the series has been on other consoles, but this one, House of the Dead 3, was an exclusive for the original Xbox at the time, and yeah, cracking game. Again, would have been on Dreamcast. Crazy Taxi 3, in America it's Crazy Taxi 3 High Roller. Now of course the PlayStation did get a Crazy Taxi game, but it did not get Crazy Taxi 3. Yeah, cracking series. Indicative of the whole Sega ethos of these pick up and play, instantly fun, instantly accessible games. Yeah, Sega quality through and through. So this, one of the reasons this console is a favourite of mine, is it does have such a big range of Sega games that I know I would have been enjoying one way or another. Gun Valkyrie, cracking game, free exploration shooter. It's you have a jetpack, so it's a very free movement, good, very good controls when you get used to it. But yeah, again, looks brilliant, plays really well, Sega fun. Can't go wrong with that one. Jet Set Radio Future. sequel to the Dreamcast game. Very stylish, very unique. A combination of kind of parkour, you know, elements of Tony Hawk's, grinding along rails and the smooth movement through towns and cities, that kind of thing. But also you had this graffiti mechanic where you had to match controller movements to paint on walls, and it was a fun game. Yeah, I really like the Jet Set Radio games. We got Panzer Dragoon Orta. Of course, 3 very popular and critically acclaimed games on the Sega Saturn. The Dreamcast never got one. It was supposed to get this. Another gorgeous game, an on-rail shooter. Yeah, just again, brilliant design, brilliant gameplay. The Xbox profited from the Dreamcast's demise, shall we say. Now this one, infamously, Shenmue 2. Now, Peter Moore was so infamous for this deal that he'd brokered to give these IPs away to Microsoft that he tells a story that once he was actually stopped by a TSA attendant at an airport, and they said, "I don't need to see your passport, you're the guy who gave away Shenmue. Or you're the bastard who gave away Shenmue," something like that. Yeah, so he was notorious for the decision to give this away. Shenmue was plagued with bad decisions from Sega. They didn't even release this sequel in Sega's biggest market, which is the US. Of course, if you're in the US, you needed to play it on this game or import a PAL copy on the Dreamcast. So their biggest market, they didn't even release the most expensive game they'd ever produced, and it was one of the nails in the coffin for the series. Imagine how different it could have been if this game had not been exclusive to Xbox and actually made its way onto PS2. I'm pretty confident if this game, and the first one, there's nothing stopping both of those games had this deal not been brokered. Imagine if both those games had been on the PS2 with a 155 million user base to pick from. This game would have done a hell of a lot better, and we may well have seen Shenmue's 3, 4 and 5 that were originally planned made you know, chronologically when they really should have been done, rather than having to wait 14 years for a Kickstarter campaign and fan you know, passion to bring it back. We probably wouldn't have had to go down this route to get Shenmue 3. It probably would have happened a long time ago if this game had not been exclusive on the Xbox, which again at the time had not got a massive user base, you know, but yeah, but cracking game. Obviously, you know, my title is named after it, one of my favourite games of all time. I guess in hindsight, it's just a real shame that it wasn't exclusive when it was transported, you know, away from the Dreamcast. So there is a stellar selection of Sega games that were exclusives for the Xbox. That announcement was made at the Tokyo Game Show 2001. 11 exclusives. There's also Phantasy Star Online 1 and 2 came to the Xbox. I don't have that. I don't think you can play it offline. I don't think so. But yeah. So the Xbox as the Dreamcast 1.5. What are your thoughts on this, guys? I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.